All right, we're live on LinkedIn. We'll try again for Facebook because, all right, here we go. We are live. Hey, everybody. I'm super excited. I'm back again on your timeline for a second day in a row. This is the last day for like a couple of weeks, so I just want to throw that out there. But first things first, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching. If you're catching the replay, thank you guys for tuning in. Today, I'm super excited about our guest because this is something I myself have not really thought about. So first things first, if you are just finding me, aren't familiar with me, I'm Adriana. I run a company called the Lazy Millennial. And what we do is help business owners remove through documented processes, clear documented processes, that is, and delegation. So today we are getting ready to cover PR. We're going to find out what that is, how that helps. And what I like to do with these lives is to bring people from my community and talk to you about what they do and how it helps businesses, because oftentimes, like SOPs, they tend to be forgotten or they're thought of when they're needed. And we want to make sure we have that planned out prior. So without further ado, Cindy, I'm going to hand it off to you. Let us know who you are and how you help business owners.
Hey, thank you, Adriana. I appreciate that. And I'm excited to be here with you today. And your lives have been really engaging. You've been bringing some great experts on. So I'm glad to be in such good company. So I am Cindy Rodriguez-Constable. I'm a media strategist who works with business owners with a strong track record for results, who want the kind of pitches that give them high visibility in the media, strong social proof, and recognition in target-rich environments. And I could do this for them even if they don't feel like they're pitch ready, because a lot of times business owners are not really thinking about PR in the broader sense in the way I think about it, which is why I'm kind of excited to talk about, how PR can help business owners and why allowing your employees to have a presence in the media can help grow your business.
Okay, so before we even dive into that, I know for me, it might just be me. I didn't really know what PR was. So can
Good.
you
We can
tell
do
us like
that.
a little bit like like what exactly is it? Like, is it something like what we're doing, or is it only publications? Do you mind breaking that down for us just a little bit?
Yes. So the shorter answer is all the above. But in the current environment, so it's more nowadays, you're going to hear the term digital PR because we live in a very digitized society. Once upon a time, PR was a TV appearance, on the local news or being in the local paper. That was PR kind of back in the day. Nowadays, all of it actually counts. Whether you were appearing on a podcast, on a LinkedIn Live that doesn't belong to you because I'm being exposed to a new audience of people. If you are on a YouTube channel, a LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, any of these platforms that you can be seen in, being in publications, writing a book, speaking. So there's so many facets to it. And so for us, we kind of focus on publications in particular. And so being in publications, there's several different ways that you can do that. You can be mentioned. So somebody quotes you, they're writing an article, they get a quote from you because you're a subject matter expert in the topic that journalist is writing about. So that's being featured. So you could be mentioned. Someone could reference something you said. You see this on the LinkedIn news feed a lot of times. So LinkedIn will write a piece and they will quote something that you posted on LinkedIn. So they didn't maybe reach out to you. They took your public post and they used it in their thing. So you were mentioned that way. That's a bit of media. And then my favorite is contributorship, where you are actually penning that article. And before you start clutching your pearls, no, you do not have to be a journalist to pen an article. You guys are brilliant and you pen stuff every day. You're writing long form blog posts, long form social media posts. If you're on Facebook, you can write a diatribe on if you want to. Other platforms kind of limit your brilliance, but on Facebook, you just go to town on
Right.
there. So you're already writing. So for me, contributorship means you get the byline in the publication and it's your thought leadership. And that's a different type of uh, media because those backlinks from an SEO perspective carry a lot of weight. So my column in Entrepreneur, my column in Business Insider, my column in CEO World, those backlinks give me a lot of street cred on my website because sometimes when you're featured or mentioned in an article, they're not linking to you or your business. But when I have the byline, when it says Cindy's a business strategist and she helps companies, blah, 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 they're linking straight to my website or to my book widget or wherever you want them to link, or to your YouTube channel. You get to decide. So for me, PR, public relations, is a much broader scope than just being mentioned, because everybody's like, oh, I want to be in Forbes. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, great. Does your target client read Forbes?
Good
Well,
point.
no. I'm like, okay, well, then why do you want to be in Forbes? It sounds like you trying to stroke your ego. That doesn't sound like you're trying to help your client, right? So if you have a cake shop in downtown Milwaukee, what is being in Forbes going to do for you? Nothing. Because the customers who are going to be walking into your cake shop in downtown Milwaukee probably aren't reading Forbes. They might be reading the Chamber Mag, the local paper, or if you're looking for recognition for your baking skills, there are probably, maybe Good Housekeeping or Parents Magazine or one of these places where you might be talking about, how to use baking to bring the family together or whatever. So there are places that you want to be. So it's just really understanding the angles that can help your business. So to me, that's kind of what PR in a nutshell.
I love that you broke that down. I love that you mentioned stop trying to be in publications where your audience isn't even at. Like I, I feel like that needs to be highlighted. So before we dive into like the very big question at hand, like what this whole video is about, how do you help business owners like with the services like PR? Like what exactly do you do for people like me?
So the way that I help business owners, a couple of different ways. We can either just do a strategy session where we kind of go through what your business does, what you have, and I point out all of the different places and spaces that you can utilize for PR services. And if you and your team are adept, you go forth and do good things. So that's a kind of a one-off strategy session. Or I can train your team, if you have an in-house team, of how to pitch, where to look, how to land those, how to follow up, how to find the editor's emails, all of those kinds of things. And your team can go off and do stuff. And then I have more of my higher level services where we're kind of on retainer and we are doing the pitching on your behalf. So we are reaching out to the journalists, we're getting you the proper placements, we're putting together that well-rounded digital PR campaign for you, where we are getting you on podcasts, getting you speaking gigs, getting you in publications, all of these different kinds of things. We're looking through the horror requests for you, finding the proper one, making sure that you're responding. So we can do that. So those are kinds of the ways that we can work with clients just based on what their needs are.
I love that. Okay, so let's say you already helped me. I'm in all these publications. One day I'm just like, I want to go back to work. Like, I am tired of waiting on these invoices. Let me get something that's like, it comes when I
Yes,
know.
the
So
paycheck
I
comes every
joined,
2 weeks.
right. So
I
I,
feel that. I feel that.
yeah, like
I'm
1,000%. That's another conversation. But anyway, so I go back to work. My employer knows who I am. Like, oh, we got the lazy millennial over here. Okay, so how does me being at their place of employment, like I'm in all these publications, like I'm popular, I'm pop. How does that help them?
And this is a great conversation that I love. For employers, one, I want to take all the employers and I want to, maybe kicking and screaming, drag them into the current millennia.
Yeah,
Because all these employment agreements, employee handbooks that are like, you can't have outside employment, you can't do this, you can't do that. We already know that inflation, she didn't come to play. She
yeah,
did not come to play. So that job, although that paycheck may be steady and nice, may not be enough to make ends meet. And your employees having outside employment is not a detriment. That's really an old school way of thinking, that I need my employee to be 100% focused on me at all times and do nothing else besides me. You can miss me with that, because that's just not how the world works anymore. So embracing the fact that your employee has an entrepreneurial spirit is something that you want to foster and encourage. That kind of gets into the remote work argument as well. So the fact that somebody's even trying to tell me remote work post 2020, like, were you in a coma? Like, I seriously,
right.
there are 100% remote first companies operating on multiple continents. So
Right.
please don't start with me with that. So it's about understanding that your employee having a presence, them now attaching their name to your company helps to elevate your brand. Now, can this kick you in the butt? Of course it can, but they could do that anyway. We've
Yeah.
seen lots of Karens and examples where
Yeah.
they did things that their employer was like,
Yeah,
we
but we're
know
gonna
we
kill
know.
that.
So, but yeah, but so them having a presence, and I like to use Jason Pfeiffer as an example. Jason Pfeiffer is the editor in chief for Entrepreneur Magazine. But Jason has a huge media presence in and of himself. He just wrote a book, launched a book. It was on the billboard in Times Square. He has a podcast. He has, a blog that he writes. He has a really big media presence that doesn't have anything to do with entrepreneur media. It does not negatively affect his ability to do his job at Entrepreneur Media. In fact, people come to Entrepreneur Media because Jason has such a big profile. And the same can be true. So the Lazy Millennial is out popping. She's in all the right places and spaces. She's writing for Career Addict and, money.com and all these great places talking about, how to set up your business so that it will run for you. Now she says, I also work for XYZ company as whatever, chief of operations for XYZ company. So it's just another facet of who you are. For me, it's part of that, allowing your employees to bring their whole self to work. And of course, that's a whole different conversation, right?
Yes.
But it's that of breaking down some of the old paradigms, some of the barriers to success. And when your employee comes on board, understanding that they have an entire life outside of that 9 to 5, and they're a whole person, and they have interests and they have hobbies and they have things that they do, and they may have a side hustle that they're running. And the ability to allow them, and I hate to use the term allow, but in an employment type of situation, it is going to be viewed as an allow situation, to continue to run that side hustle just elevates the brand, because one, it shows that the employer is progressive. So you're going to start to attract and retain better talent. Because like you said, some of us that are small business owners, we might entertain a W-2 position as long as we can continue to keep our side hustle and do what we want to do, understanding that, yes, our employer, our job will come first. We're not going to work on our business during work hours, all the things, like, because we're smart.
Yeah.
We're smart human beings. We're capable, and we trust our employees to do the right thing. So we're not policing their behaviors in that way. Again, more progressive leadership type structures. So understanding that some of that shine can rub off on the employer, because as I'm attracting attention, I might say, hey, employer, or hey, customer, oh, you should be buying your widgets from XYZ, who's my employer, because they have those widgets that you've been buying from ABC over there. And, XYZ can provide you these 3 things that ABC does not. And so they find you. So it's just understanding that, more of a holistic approach instead of the command control structure. And to me, that's what that is. Barring outside employment, telling your employees that they can't have a media presence, or policing their socials, is command control. And the fact that we haven't moved beyond command control yet just kind of blows my mind a bit.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. The same way we're looking at somebody's social media presence before we hire them. Now, back in the day, we was around before social media was a thing. What was they going to do? Go interview your neighbors and see what you said at the HOA meeting?
Right.
No, like, stop. You are hiring me because I possess a certain set of skills or behaviors, and I have the ability to do the job. No, if things that I do on the job affect my employment, okay, you can review those things. But don't go through my history 10 years ago, something I might have said. Come on now. Let's get it together. Because you were part of that background check you used to do back in the day did not include you going to interview my neighbors and my kids' ball coach and, my 3rd grade teacher to see if I, ever said or did something, or the resident at my college dorm to see how many funnels I slammed, on grad night. So just stop. So again, it's that command control structure, right? It's holistic, I agree, holistic versus commanding versus policing, right? Because we don't want to be policing behaviors. We want to be encouraging the right behaviors. It's kind of like gentle parenting, right? You don't want to be smacking you down. You want to be understanding them and helping them to regulate their emotions. So as an employer, you can kind of look at it as a parent-child, relationship, if you will, because there is a power structure there. So if we want to use gentle employment practices, we want to be encouraging the holistic approach of that employee seeking out the things they want to do. Because if they can bring their whole selves to work and they don't have to pretend at work that they don't have a brand, you don't have to block all of your coworkers so that you can run your little side biz and sell your candles on Etsy. Like, what are we doing? We don't want to have to do any of this. So to me, it's just embracing what it is your employee does. And, a lot of the non-competes are also ridiculous. Like if I'm an accountant and I work for an accounting firm, obviously my accounting skills are probably what I'm going to use on the side. And for a behemoth organization to think that the 3 clients that I might be able to service as a solo provider is taking food out of this behemoth's mouth is absolute scarcity and nonsensical. So to me, let your employee embrace. You might have a conversation about what that looks like, and I'm already hearing the HR managers, what if they say I'm crazy? Well, then you will deal with that. That's another problem in the whole HR space, that we write entire employee handbooks that are like the Encyclopedia Britannica in size.
Don't get me started.
To try to police every eventuality that may transpire, and or we put a policy in place because one person was a dummy head. And now we're policing the whole organization because one person ain't know how to act right. Instead of, how about upping the skills of leadership and management to know how to deal with the person who know how to act right.
Bingo.
And address that person individually, instead of creating an entire structure around this person who know how to act right and everybody now mad because they have all these rules that they might trip over to follow. So for me, you want to look at your employee situation as kind of a, let's do baseball field, right? So, you get the big diamond and the baseline over here and the third baseline over here. Those are the out of bounds lines. Everything in here is fair play. So let's stop creating lines all the way through to try to make rules. These are the out of bounds lines. These are the absolute no-goes. Everything in here is fair play. And let's deal with individuals on a case-by-case basis. PR media space is no different. Your employee has a big media presence. How and or can we utilize that in some kind of way? If we cannot, as long as it's not detrimental to the employer, everybody keep pushing. Away we go. Release all of the other attachments. So, that's how I see it. Of course, we didn't talk about this, but I do fractional COO type services on the side, as my other business. So for me, these are some of the things I would be dealing with those that I do fractional COO for, because we need to just break down those old power structures and understand that your employee having a media presence can be a boon for you. Happy employee who's willing to talk about you. Another good example of this is my friend Renee Baker. She works with Raymond James. She's the head of diversity and inclusion. She has a big media presence. She speaks at conferences and she has her own, clients that she works with. And Raymond James, big traditional financial institution, does not squelch that. They embrace it. And in fact, they utilize those skills that she has kind of being the hostess with the mostest to host their big annual conferences, their things. So it's understanding that, we can be forward looking and allow the employee to show up and to make them shine, because when they do, they're showing up at your place of employment much happier, much more willing to work for you. That's much.
Man. You gave us so much. You gave us so much information on that. I appreciate it, because that's how I feel, especially like doing like the employee handbook and stuff, or like helping people. That is just, we have to have another conversation on that another day. Like how, anyways. So the last thing I'm just going to ask you, where can we find you online, and what do you have for us? Like, what do you have coming up next? There we go. Got some time.
Well, you can find me at cindyrconstable.com. Cindy R. Constable on all of the socials: LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It's the same. It's the same everywhere you go. Just makes it easy for
Easy.
you to find me. And so let's see, what do I have coming up? I have a masterclass I will probably launch sometime in October called PR Pitches Made Easy. So if you really want to be a DIYer and just know how to do the process, you can, jump in and grab that. And or you just find me on socials. I put out a lot of free content on, like how to do things as it relates to, PR and my little different spin on PR, because I'm not very traditional about it. I like to do things a little bit differently.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for bringing us all this energy, bringing us all this information on PR today. Like, I am so happy you were able to come on with me. And you guys have an amazing Thursday. Thank you guys for tuning in. And if you're watching the replay, thank you.
Yeah,
And make
thank
sure
you.
to follow her.
Absolutely. Please hop on over to my corner of the interwebs.
All right. See y'all later.